it off to you guys. Okay, so welcome. Thanks again for spending some time with us. We're going to zip through this in about 45 minutes and hopefully give you some chances to ask questions at the end. We're also going to highlight one of our customers that use these surveys in a really great way and look at the case study so we can really demonstrate the value of what these surveys can do, not just from a informational standpoint to find out what your customers like, but also to do customer service and to get feedback. And there's lots of things you can even market in your last question as well. And a lot of folks didn't know about the multiple service lines that our client had, so that we put that into a survey question, which was asking them if they were aware of it or not. And the survey question literally provided an opportunity for us to market those different services to those folks that were interested as well. But we'll dive right into that and show you how we did that. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in. My name's Nick. I'm with Social Punch Marketing. That's my firm. We're actually launching Social Punch Business Lab this year as well. So it's one-on-one training, and we have full-service video. We send out 52 videos once a week, and we work close hand-in-hand with all the small business owners so that we can really help them grow their business. We can do 2 times, 3 times. We've even grown businesses 10 times in a year. So there's lots of strategies that we like to walk you through and coach you one-on-one. So we'll send you an email about that with a few webinars that will be coming up in 2017 as well. And here's all of our contact information. Please feel free to send out stuff to us, and we're happy to respond. We build websites. We're a digital agency, so what we really like to do is help you to create content so that folks can keep in touch with you over the customer journey, right? The customer buying journey. We want to make sure that you set up your website so that it's a lead magnet. You capture leads, and then you continually have conversations with those leads until they're ready to buy for you. The biggest thing about the buyer's journey that people forget about is that most people are not ready to buy now. The first time they come to your website, they're not ready to purchase. They're just doing information gathering. So you want to make sure that you capture folks' information on your website, so that's at least first name and email address. And then you want to be able to set up automated marketing emails to make sure that you stay in contact with those potential customers. And when they're ready to purchase from you, they will reach out to you, they'll call you, they'll respond to one of your emails from an automated series, and then they're off and running. And then you don't have to spend that time always reaching out to folks or calling folks that aren't ready to buy. You only want to spend your time on those folks that are finally in that selection and decision process. And we really work closely with businesses to set that up. Okay, so today we're going to talk about feedback and surveys, and of course with Constant Contact they do newsletters and announcements and all sorts of emails, offers and promotions. They have a whole event registration tool which is really great. I love to use it. Everybody who's using it today probably with the webinars, you probably went to an event registration page with Constant Contact. But we're going to talk about feedback and surveys. So what is marketing? Ultimately, at the core, it's 3 things. You want to identify a target market, you want to reach out to that target market, and you want to measure if you were successful in getting a response from that target market. It's really that simple. So with a survey campaign, you're pushing out content, which is your survey and your questions, and what you're trying to pull back from them is a response, which is feedback on those surveys. And there's a lot of information that you could be asking that's going to help you to grow your business, and we'll talk about that. We're going to push questions and pull insights. So what are we going to cover today? We're going to talk about surveys, polls, and reviews. What's the difference between them? How to structure your survey, and how to ask really good questions. You don't want to ask leading questions, or you don't want to ask things, you don't want to give folks too much information so that they feel overwhelmed, but you also want to give them the opportunity to answer questions as opposed to you spoon-feeding what you think their answers would be. You really want their honest feedback. When and who to send to, the 2 very important questions, and how to follow up, right? No sense in doing a survey if you're not going to abide by the results that you get and follow up and thank the folks that have actually done the survey for you. And then next steps. Okay, so the what and the why. The importance of listening to your customers. Wouldn't it be nice if you knew that, hey, I'd spend more if the customer service was better, right? wouldn't you want to make sure that you were using that opportunity to train your service reps to be better at customer service if you know folks would spend more? How about if I have a good experience, I'll definitely tell my friends. Wouldn't you be able to use that information and then put systems in place that you could make sure that you ask for people to refer you and maybe set up situations where it's easy for people to refer you? And what about, I don't worry so much about the price if the experience is great. So many people are always discounting their prices, and that's really not something you have to do. As a matter of fact, we discourage it with all of our clients. There's no need to say that it's going to be 50% off and lose that revenue. A better approach would be to provide a better experience and maybe add value or add an additional service line for just a little bit more money so that you're not discounting your prices. Because when you take into account whatever your cost of service is, if you're giving a 10% discount off of the price, that's not 10% off your profit. That's 10% off even your cost of acquisition. So it's costing you more than 10% to actually give a 10% off offer. So that's why we say it's never a good idea to discount your prices if you can offer value add or additional package, bundle a package together so that folks will actually spend a little bit more money with you and they're getting a better perceived value. Okay, so know your objective. What do you need to know to help you take an action or make your business more successful? So you really have to look at your business and think, okay, what are we doing well and what are we maybe not doing so well, and how can we improve that? And let's ask our customers how that can happen. Pick one thing and ask questions about that one thing. Be very focused, right? And every question you ask should already have a possible action associated with it, so that when everybody votes and they say, hey, you should do this, then you're ready to do that, as opposed to asking the questions and then it takes you 3 months to implement the actions of what you would, of the results of those questions. So what's an example of that? Well, if you want to find out if people read your Facebook posts, that's a little too general. It would be much better to find out if your Facebook fans prefer pictures or links to articles. It's a much more specific question, and then you can take action. You provide more pictures or you provide more links with articles. Don't ask a question like, do they like our product? That's too general. You could say, do you think our Homestyle orange juice is more or less bitter than other brands? That's very specific. You can then take action to make it sweeter or less sweet. And lastly, hey, did you like our events? Well, that's just way too much information that's packed in that one question. That's really 4 or 5 questions in one. Hey, did they like the layout of your event venue? Then you can take action with the response to that. Was the program too long, too short, or just right? Then you can take action and then say, you know what, I'm going to modify our program the next time. Do you prefer a plated dinner or a buffet? Again, the answer to that question has immediate actions that you can take. So let's look at scenario number 1. We like to use case studies and really kind of walk you through some ideas on how to use these surveys. So let's say the objective is to learn if your customers or clients are using social media. That's good for a single poll question, but not so much for a survey. What would be better for a survey is to identify how they're using social media and how better to engage with those customers. So questions like this could be pretty easy to provide. What social platforms do you use? Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, Pinterest, right? When you find out where your customers are by asking a survey, then you know where you need to be. Because if your customers are on LinkedIn and you're not on LinkedIn, you need to get on LinkedIn. If your customers are on Twitter, you need to be on Twitter. Even if you hate Twitter, right? I actually love Twitter. I think it's great. If you're on Pinterest or your customers are on Pinterest, you should be where your customers are. So refocus your social media strategy on the most popular channel, right? And then use your information in your post that fits so well. Let's say it's Pinterest, that's their favorite. Then modify your information to fit well on Pinterest and then repost it on the other channels, not worrying so much on how it looks there. Just make sure that it looks great on Pinterest. So here's another sample question, like what kind of content do you look for on social media? Is it articles or pictures of friends or organizations you follow? Is it really deals or coupons or jokes or quick tips? Whatever those options are that you provide, then when your customers tell you what they like to see, you can develop the desired content that they like. So if they want to have quick tips, then you can develop a whole calendar of quick tips. They may want to have deals and coupons, so you want to offer more coupons. If they want entertainment, then you know that's what you should be focusing on. And lastly, how often do you expect to see new content posted, right? Do you want to see it daily? Do you want it every week? Just weekly? Just a couple times a month? Once you know what it is that they like, then you develop your posting schedule to match, right? So you don't over deliver too much for your customers. Your customers will tell you what they want. All right, so let's look at scenario number 2. Let's say you wanted to figure out how you could get more people to your event. Well, that's okay, but a better objective would be, why don't we survey the past registrants that didn't show up at our event and find out what would have encouraged them to attend, right? So the answers that the folks are going to send to you of the folks who didn't show up should tell you a lot about why they didn't show up, and hopefully you can take action on that information so that they do show up the next time. So a good sample question might be, well, which area would you most likely travel to attend an event? Now, if you're in Los Angeles, you know that it's all about where in the heck in Los Angeles am I going to go to? You know the most important thing people are asking about is parking, right? Great, I'm going to sign up for this event. I really don't even mind if I have to pay for it, but I want to know what the parking situation is, right? And some people like to drive, and they know it's going to be 30 minutes no matter where you go in Los Angeles, probably 2 hours. But you need to know what that information is going to be to find out, okay, so where are our folks located, and where is it that they want to go? And then once you find out, you can investigate venues in that area that get the greatest response. The next question might be, what kind of entertainment would you be most interested in, right? Comedians, musicians, what does that happen to be? Once you know that, you can leverage your network to find talent based on those responses. And the last one might be, what time of day are you most likely to attend? And that's a big one for all of us, right? For all the authorized local experts for Constant Contact. We're constantly trying to tweak what's the best time of day for our event. Is it morning? Is it afternoon? Should we provide breakfast? Should we provide a lunch? How long can you afford to be away from your business as a small business owner? So we're constantly tweaking that information and surveying our customers to find out what's the best time. We're finding on webinars that Wednesdays typically are the best days to have webinars. So that's why we do them on Wednesdays. Okay, so the types of surveys. So surveys are a little bit longer. They don't have to be. You're really looking to get feedback and segment your audience by interest. And it's usually sent through the email or social media, because you're going to post it in social media. You can even post it on your website. Now, a poll is typically just a quick insight, one-question poll. And usually it's pushed through email or on your website or also on social media. And then lastly, reviews. You can ask for feedback on a specific product or experience. And if people really had a great experience, you want to provide them with the opportunity to then go to Yelp or go to one of those review sites. And one of the best places you can get reviews is actually on Google now. So if you have a Google Places, if it's Google Your Business, those reviews are going to show up on Google, and those carry a lot of weight, because if people don't know you and they're doing a Google search, when your business comes up, those reviews are going to show up as well. So here's a really great tip and trick to use when you're doing a survey. So when you're sending out the invitation via email, use a happy face and an unhappy face in your email to drive them to two different surveys, actually. Because you don't want to ask somebody at the end of a survey who didn't have a good experience, you don't want to drive them to your Yelp page, because then they're going to give you a bad review. That is not what you want. So in the email that you introduce people to, hey, we'd love to hear back from you. We'd love to take this survey. If you click on, please click on the appropriate response below on your experience. That way, if they click on the happy face, you know that they had a good experience. And then at the end of the survey, you can drive people to your Yelp page and ask them to give you the review there. in the email or invitation to the survey, if they click on the unhappy face, then you know you need to drive them to a survey to really dig deep on why they didn't have a good experience, and then don't drive them to your Yelp page, but maybe drive them to a coupon page where they're going to get an incentive to come back, because obviously it didn't go so well. So that's a really good tip in using surveys. Just embed the good survey with the happy face and the not so good survey with the unhappy face within the initial invitation. So you're actually sending them to two separate surveys. Actually, we actually need to build a slide out to kind of demonstrate that a little better. Okay, so how do you structure your surveys? There's a lot of reasons to have a survey. You could be surveying your employees to find out what it is that they need. Or you can really be trying to figure out what the customer profile is, so you can decide, hey, if these people, like this example is for ice cream, if they like banana splits, we want to put them in the banana split category. If they only like chocolate ice cream, then we want to put them in the chocolate ice cream category. For my wineries that I work with, I can designate, hey, do these guys like white wine? Do they like red wine? Do they like rosé? Or do they like all wines? Because then I can, once I segment them appropriately, I can send them even more specific emails that are going to be more meaningful for them. Because why do you open up an email? The only reason you open up an email is because you're interested in the subject matter and what's in it for you. It's always about what the customer wants, not what the person who's sending the email wants. You might want to send out a survey about an event to improve your events. You want to ask about relevance. You want to ask about a customer's experience, which is going to be different than customer satisfaction, right? Customer experience could be something like at a spa. Did you have a good experience at the spa? Was the sound or was the background music appropriate? Was the level of air conditioning and temperature in the room appropriate? That's about customer experience. Customer satisfaction is, how was the services that we provided for you? Were they good? Were they bad? Were they somewhere in between? Those are different reasons for sending these surveys. Okay, so let's talk about questions. The more questions you ask, the less amount of responses you're going to get. So just a quick tip here, put the most important questions first, because if people don't complete the survey, if they don't go all the way through, let's say you ask 10 questions, but they do answer the first 3, you'll still be able to see the answers to the first 3 questions. So always put those important questions first and try to keep it as short as you can. Okay, so closed-ended questions are really multiple choice questions, right? You are basically giving the answers to your potential surveyees, and you're saying, okay, it's going to be A, B, C, D, or E. And you're not giving them an opportunity for them to jump in and tell you what they want. That's okay, because closed-ended questions are easy to answer, they're easy to analyze for great comparison, and they can ensure that your scales are balanced and clear. But then you want to mix in some of those open-ended questions, but not a lot of them. Okay? So do you have any suggestions for improving our products? That's an open-ended question. And when somebody types that information into that paragraph, they're going to have a lot of information that you can't compare to other people's information easily, right? It's not like, okay, I got 20 B responses and 25 C responses, so C is better than B. Now you're going to actually have to read what people have submitted in this text box. So it's harder to analyze, but you're actually going to get deeper insights from it. But don't give too many of these questions, because when people have to start filling things out, it just feels like it takes them longer, and they won't want to respond to as many questions. Okay? So question tips. Don't ask a leading question. So how would you rate the career of legendary outfielder Joe DiMaggio? When you preface that with legendary outfielder, that means he's already great. It would be better to just say, how would you rate Joe DiMaggio's career? It doesn't lead them to say, oh, he must have been fantastic, he was legendary, right? So don't use leading questions. Don't limit your evaluation. Are you very satisfied or very dissatisfied with us? That's only 2 options that they have. You could ask 5 and give them a scale, Or overall, how satisfied are you with us? And make it an open-ended question so that they can actually fill it in for you. Too general. Don't ask a question like this. What suggestions do you have for improving Tom's tomato juice? That's just too general. There's not a lot of action you can take from whatever those questions are going to be. Give them some specifics. What suggestions do you have for improving the taste of Tom's tomato juice? Okay, a couple more. So, harder to compare results is something like, what do you think of this service? It would be better to say you found the service to be and provide A, B, C, and D, right? You can compare those results very easily. Don't ask two questions, a double-barreled question, in one question. So how would you rate the food and entertainment at the event? You need to break those up into two separate questions. How would you rate the food? How would you rate the entertainment? And lastly, try to avoid jargon at all costs or abbreviations, right? So this question is jargon full for constant contact and online marketing, right? How well did the RDD explain the use of CTAs to drive CTs? That makes no sense to probably anybody on this webinar right now, right? Ultimately, what that really means is how well did the regional development director, that's a certain person that we use with Constant Contact, explain the use of call to actions to drive click-throughs, right? And even that has a lot of jargon in it as well, right? So a better question would have been, how effectively did the speaker explain calls to action, right? So keep it as simple as possible and in words your customer uses, not words that, I'm just taking a peek. It looks like somebody's calling. Okay, I just want to make sure everyone was still hearing. Just make sure it's in the language that the customers use and not the language that the industry uses, okay? All right. Here's some tips. Make your first question easy to answer, right? So you don't lose interest of the folks that have attended. Place your most important questions up front. That way, if they don't fill them out, all of their questions out, you're at least going to get the answers to those first important questions. And then if you need to ask for profile and demographic information, which can be very important, make sure that you explain why you need that. So what does that mean? You don't want to have questions that force people to say first name and last name, or force people to say, how much money do you make? Or force people to say, what is your racial identification? Because people might not feel real comfortable about giving that information. So if you are going to ask for that information, ask for it at the very end so that people will either give it to you or not, but you're getting the most important information up front, and then explain why you need that information, right? Don't make those questions mandatory. Okay, so how long is enough, right? Well, what do you think? Always short and sweet, right? The shorter it is, the better it is, because more people are going to go through the entire survey. So don't ask questions that aren't relevant. Don't ask two questions when one question is enough. Don't ask too many open-ended questions, and don't ask too many questions about demographics. Try not to have more than 10 questions. Do ask lots of multiple choice questions. It just feels shorter. Not too many of those open-ended, and target for a 5 to 8 minute completion time. And even that's a little bit long, but that should give you some really powerful insights if it is that long. How you can determine what the length is to take the survey yourself and force yourself to read each question and read each answer. That way you'll know what somebody who's not designed the survey and is actually reading through the whole thing, you'll then understand exactly how long it's going to take you or take those folks to answer those questions. And then in your email, actually tell folks, hey, it'll take you about 5 minutes to complete this. Or, hey, it'll take you about 2 minutes to complete this short survey. I remember I was sent a survey when my wife and I, we were looking for new apartments. And one of the apartments that we went to sent a follow-up survey. And they said, hey, it'll only take you a couple minutes to fill out this survey. Oh my God, there was 100 questions on this survey. That is not 2 minutes. I was so angry. And no, I did not fill out their survey. And when I hit reply, I had quite a few things to say to them about their short survey, right? So make sure that you take it yourself and then say, hey, this is an accurate reflection of how long this survey is going to take you to fill out. Okay, when and who? When should you send out a survey? Well, sometimes you need to know on the fly, and that's fine to send. Like, let's say you've got an event that's coming up, and maybe the venue changed, or you've got another event that's going to be coming up, and you're thinking about, hey, what would be a better venue for this to happen? On the fly is okay if you need to know something. Just keep it short. But what's really good, and the example that I'm going to show you, is after an interaction. You want to send out a survey as soon after that event as possible to get a fresh feedback on the survey, from the survey on the event that just transpired, right? So if somebody came in and serviced somebody's stove, you want to know how that went, how the interaction went, how the whole thing went for that experience. And that's a really great use of surveys. And regularly scheduled surveys, right? You may want to do something twice a year to find out, hey, this is something that we do every January to find out what are new products that our customers are looking for. And then in July, maybe you send another email saying, hey, just following up, what have we done well in those new products and services, and what could we improve? Now, categorize your audience. Segmentation is so important. Your data as a business owner is so valuable to you. Every customer, you should find out as much information about those customers as you can. Your data is gold, right? And the better and the more up to date you can keep that data, the better your business is going to thrive. So you should be segmenting them. You're going to have regular customers or donors, and you should be treating them as best you can. Always be thanking them. Always be interacting with the customers that you've worked so hard to get. Too many of us get those new customers, and then we don't even send thank yous out. We don't send cards to them. We don't send thank you emails to them. We don't care about them, and that's what you should make sure that you do. Customer service is so important. You may have seasonal customers or supporters, and you want to speak to them specifically about those seasons. Then your VIPs. Remember that 80-20 rule, right? 20% of your business, or 20% of your customers are going to represent 80% of your business. Those are your VIPs, and you need to be treating them fantastically. Stop giving 2-for-1 coupons to people you don't know. Give those 2-for-1 coupons to the VIPs and let them share that with their friends. They'll love you for it, and you'll get the same type of target market that they are, because birds of a feather flock together, right? People who already love you are going to have friends that are probably going to love you too, right? So really take care of those VIP customers. And then new customers will have their own issues and own communication requirements. So if you have a brand new customer in your club, maybe you need to send out emails that explain the rules to that club. And maybe they need to get 4 emails over 4 weeks to really walk them through the process of what to expect as a new customer. Okay, so once you've segmented that audience, maybe if you're sending that January and July survey, you only send that to your whole group once. And then the May survey becomes a shorter segment so that people don't burn out. And in September, you send it to a completely different group as well. So you can continually get valuable feedback from your customers, but you're not always asking the same people all the time, because then they'll burn out. Okay, so results and follow-up. What can you do? The first thing is you want to get the word out once you've got that survey completed, right? It's ready to go. So share that on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, on email, through text, put it on your website. You want to get feedback on this valuable information from as many of your customers as possible. So send it on all of your social media channels and in your email so that you get people to respond. Now hurry up and wait. Here's the reality. 50% or more of your survey responses are going to come back in the first day, and then they're going to trickle in from there, right? 88% of responses will be submitted in the first week, and then 2 weeks is plenty of time to leave the survey open, get the maximum amount of responses that you get. That also gives you an opportunity to resend the survey invitation to only those who have not filled it out. Don't resend it to the people that have already filled it out. And in Constant Contact, there's a button you can push that literally will do that for you, which is great. Then go ahead and shut that survey down, right? Plenty of time, 2 weeks, you're going to get as many responses as you can expect. All right, so now that you're finished, now what do? Well, in Constant Contact, you have the opportunity that once they complete their survey, you get to send them to whatever closing page you want. So you can design your own landing page on your website that says thank you, and maybe you give them a coupon or an incentive for filling out that survey. And this is that idea, what we said before, if you embed within your email invitation a happy face or a not happy face, if people click on that happy face, then drive them to this survey that has a coupon, or hey, give us a review on Yelp and a link to your Yelp page, or even drive them right to your Yelp page. But if it was a bad experience because they clicked on that unhappy face in the invitation, then drive them to a different survey with a different closing page and figure out why it didn't go so well. And then lastly, send respondents directly to a website, and they can access your incentive or register for your next event or whatever it is. So you have the ability to drive them wherever you want once they've completed the survey. Now the results should inspire action. So review and analyze what your folks have told you. Spot trends, what do people like and what don't they like? Create an action plan so you can make those changes, and then follow up with the people who completed your survey. Tell them thanks. And tell them that you heard them, right? So there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, we heard that you guys would really like to have more recipes with our wine. Well, guess what? Here's our first new email that has tons of recipes that you can share with our wine. So you show your customers that you're listening to what it is that they said and you're taking action on it. And then you have the opportunity to survey again. Okay, so review the statistics and the data. So if you had an incentive involved, make sure that your staff is trained to redeem that and how to handle those coupons, right? Collect a list of signups at redemption, right? So this is the idea with Groupon. Most people with Groupon, they won't send you the information of the people that may have filled out that survey or gotten your deal. So you want to make sure that you're collecting all that information when somebody redeems that coupon, right? Make sure that you have that first name, last name, and email address and phone number. That's the most important information that you can have, because you can always email and you can always call somebody, right? You're not always going to be able to reach them other ways. So use the same tools to follow up, email, social media, and surveys to say thank you. And then create an action plan from those results. So once you've surveyed your folks and they say, hey, we want these new services or products or programs, then introduce those new services, products, and programs. And if you want to, you can give a special offer and incentive because you're just launching that program. That's always a great way to get a kickstart to your new year. Use the information to improve your website. Use the information to make communications more relevant to your customers. You've been able to segment them into different categories, so now only send them emails to those specific categories that are relevant to that category. So that's that example of my wineries. I like to know if you like red wine or white wine or rosé wine or all wines, and then I'm going to send you emails that are specific to those products. Lastly, attract new customers, clients, and donors. Segment your audience like we said before. Okay, so engage in that conversation. When you push those questions and you pull those insights, you want to share those results. Share them with everybody who took your survey, and go ahead and post those on your website as well. Here are the changes that are going to be coming thanks to your results and taking our survey. So share those results. And then next steps. Here's some practical advice. Use consistent branding, just like in any of your emails. Make sure that your survey looks like that it's coming from your company. It should have your logo on it. And personalize it as much as you can, right? Don't say, hey, greetings. Say, dear John, dear Jane, dear whoever it is, we'd love your feedback. When you personalize it with that first name, it really helps, because people think that you're talking to them specifically, and their opinion matters. clearly state the purpose of your survey, clearly state any incentives. So if you're saying, hey, if you fill out my survey, I'm going to give you a $20 coupon, make sure that you deliver that $20 coupon if indeed they fill out your survey. There's nothing wrong as well to say, hey, there's the first 20 people to fill out our survey will get a $20 coupon. Make sure that you send it out to those first 20 people. And then specify the time involved. It's going to take you X amount of time to fill out this survey. In form of confidentiality, so if you're not keeping track of who's answering, which you can do with Constant Contact, then you can say, hey, these are going to be anonymous responses. And that's important. Don't say it's anonymous if it's not. And then clearly display your call to action. Include a closing date, like we're going to keep this survey open for 2 weeks, and include a thank you upon completion, whatever that happens to be. If it's an incentive or a thank you, just simply saying thank you is really important because people took time to fill out your survey. Make people feel a part that they're helping your organization to improve. Okay, so start small, right? Maybe you have just a single item poll. Then grow to a couple questions, delivering them via your newsletter, right? And then you can go into a deeper survey. So start where you are, right? Find out the information that you need, and then you can grow to a larger survey after time. All right, so now let's give you an example of a client that we used these surveys, and we used it for multiple purposes. We found out if their customer service was going well, if the customer experience was good, and also we did marketing with the last question, right? So here's our client. What they did was appliance repair, and they had multiple companies that needed to be monitored, and they had multiple services that needed to be promoted. So our guy here in California, right, in Southern California, if you called from Torrance and your oven wasn't working, then he would send somebody from Torrance, one of his contractors, to make sure that your oven would be fixed, right? Same thing with maybe your coffee maker didn't work, or your appliances, some other of your appliances didn't work, or maybe it was your HVAC, right? But if you called him and you needed service in Beverly Hills, then he would send one of his contractors from Beverly Hills, right? So he really needed to monitor each one of his subcontractors to make sure that they were doing good work. And he also needed to monitor his telephone representatives to make sure that they were doing really good work. And then because they had so many services, he wanted to make sure that everyone who used his service knew that there were other services that they did as well. So here's the example of what we did. So we sent it with their logo, American Service Alliance, and you can see that in the invitation. We guaranteed whoever finished this a $10 gift card, and then it said, Dear Julia, as you can see here, complete our free survey, or complete our survey for your free $10 Amazon gift card. We asked and we imported the customer source name. So that was going to be whatever company they used. Then their technician that went out, and also the person who spoke to them on the phone. So all of that was customized so that when somebody took this survey, they knew if it was the Beverly Hills person, who the person was that came into their house, and what telephone person spoke to them on the phone, right? We sent it through the survey invitation and Constant Contact, and then we were able to use the button that says, only send a reminder to the contacts who have not taken the survey yet, right? And then we could see who we sent it to 413 people. We had some bounces. We had a couple people who opted out, just like any other email that goes out. We had a bunch of people open and a bunch of people take the clicks. Okay, so here were their results. So the first question was, were you satisfied with your service personnel? So that was the person, the technician who actually came in. And you could see they were doing a really great job. But of the people who didn't do such a great job, then our client was able to call those particular people and say, hey, we had a bad experience with this particular customer. Can you call them and make that up to them? And here were the comments that they could find out of what people said. Then the next question was, this was for training their customers, or training their technicians. Did the technician call 30 minutes prior to your appointment? That was a big service specialty that this company wanted to drive home. They wanted to make sure their technicians called 30 minutes prior to make sure that the folks knew they were coming. So you could see most of the time that happened, but there were 4 times that it didn't. So then our guy could call his technicians and say, hey, do a better job of calling 30 minutes prior to your appointment. The third question was, did the technician wear or offer to wear booties? And you can see that they didn't do so well there, right? Over half of the people said that they didn't offer that. So this was a good customer train or a technician training opportunity for our client. He could then tell those guys, hey, look, we need to do better on offering, or just go ahead and put the booties on your feet before you walk into somebody's house, right? That's going to be better for our customer experience. Now, on question number 4 was about the telephone representatives, the folks who actually called, right? Hey, were you satisfied with our telephone representatives? You could see, again, they were doing a really good job. The next one was, hey, please rate your overall experience with our company. They're at 4.3. That's excellent, right? There's always going to be people who don't like, that have some kind of complaint. That's always going to happen. But using surveys, you can find out quickly who didn't have a good experience and get to them before they write the bad review on Yelp. That's the true value of surveys when you do it quickly, right? You can get to the people who didn't have such a great experience and get to them quickly, so get to them before they go out on Yelp or Google and give you a bad review. And then please rate pricing of your service. Now, because he's at 3.5, I told him, hey, you're doing fine, because people will always want it for less money. But if he was below 3, then I would tell him, you know what, you might want to think about lowering your prices a little bit. But as long as they're above 3, I think that he's definitely giving great, exceptional value for what they were doing. And then this last question, the 7th question, was the opportunity to say, this is a marketing question within the survey, hey, did you know we also do appliance repair, air duct cleaning, heat and air conditioning, moving services? There were other things that they did. And all of those people that said, hey, I didn't know that. Now I have 13 people who are interested in finding out more about those other products. Isn't that fantastic? Now you know that this person might be interested in hardwood floor installation. Those 3 people have raised their hands saying, we'd like to know more information. Now we can reach out to those 3 people with a very targeted offer on hardwood flooring. That's just a fantastic way to use surveys for marketing purposes. Now this is their follow-up email, right? For the folks that actually took it, we said thank you, thank you, thank you, and of course we used the little Amazon smile for the thank you. And we even gave people an opportunity. Not only could they redeem those cards, but if they recommended friends, we'd give them another $25 gift card, right? That was pretty fantastic for these guys. Now, incentives matter, but not as much as you might think for people to fill out surveys. So this was a good demonstration of what incentives can do for you. Now, initially, we gave a $10 gift card for his clients. The reality was that was a really good deal, and a $5 gift card was still getting the amount of responses that he needed. So I was like, let's cut your cost in half and offer a $5 card instead of a $10 card. And that actually worked pretty well. Now, we broke up his database into 3 separate groups, though. And the different incentives we offered to fill out the survey were this. One survey went out to 1,000 people that said, hey, fill out the survey and we'll give you a $5 Amazon card no matter what. Just fill it out, you get your $5 gift card. Then there was another one, same survey, different 1,000 people that we sent to, and it was, hey, fill out our survey and you have the opportunity to win an iWatch, right? And then the last one, we sent it to a different 1,000. It was still the same survey, but to the last 1,000 people in his database, we sent it with no incentive at all, right? So the first survey with the $5 Amazon card did the best. They had 168 responses. The one for the iWatch was the least successful at 84 responses. right? And then the last one we did with no incentive at all still got 110 responses. So if price is an issue, make sure that you say thank you. You don't have to give away a gift card, right? And you don't have to give things away, or even a 10% off coupon. You don't have to do it. People will be happy to help you grow your business, especially if you have good relationships with your customers. Okay, so that is it on these surveys. I'd like to open it up to any final questions that you may have, and then we'll also show you any special offers that may be available through Constant Contact as well. So I'm going to look at the questions box here real quick and open it up and see if there are any questions that come through. Any questions? Any questions? Floor is open. And I think we're stumped. I think at almost 5 o'clock, folks are kind of stumped. Oh, here we go. We got one question's coming in. Let's see here. So this says, I'm redesigning my company's website. What questions should I ask? Oh, so for the questions to find out, the first one would be, what is your overall experience with our website? And then give them a rank, 1 through 5, right? Just to see if it was where the old website was. Then ask some open-ended questions, because websites are all about functionality, right? So what is it that you would like us to provide you on our website? Is it opportunities to sign up for events? Is it opportunities to find out content? What type of content that they want? Those are the kinds of things that you should be asking. And then provide that information once they tell you what that is. Okay, so let's see. I'm hoping to find more customers like my VIPs now. What questions could I ask them? Oh, no problem. So the questions are, for your VIPs, what do you like most about our services? And then, how could we make our services even better for you? Right? Those are a couple of good questions that you could find out. So like, let's say for our wineries, right? We say, you know, for our best customers, we might ask a question like, are there VIP events that we could invite you and a guest to that you would like to attend? And if so, what would you like those events to have, right? So that might be, for our wineries, it might be entertainment events. It might be events with more wine so they can taste different things. It might be with different chefs so they could find out what kind of food really goes best with their different wines. That could be really fantastic. Let me go ahead and ask you, Ben, what is the customers that you're usually dealing with? And I can even brainstorm with you real fast. High-end women's clothing. Oh, okay. So if it's going to be high-end with an older demographic, then events for you might be fantastic, actually. You know, what kind of trunk shows? Like, if you would like us to have a trunk show, what type of products would you like us to highlight? You know, is that going to be shoes? Is it going to be dresses? Is it going to be accessories? What type of accessories? Those are the kinds of things that could be really cool. If we offered dinner with this VIP event, would that be helpful for you? If we offered a wine tasting or champagne, would that be really fun for you to come along? Those would be some really fun answers to those questions. And then you can provide what it is that they want. If people are really interested in high-end accessories, then you know that that event should feature that stuff. If they're interested in the high-end dresses, then you can really feature those types of things. Is it going to be handbags? Is it going to be coats? Give folks those opportunities to really ask those questions, and then provide the solutions that they vote for. Okay, so it looks like it's about 10 more minutes before the top of the hour, so I want to give everybody an opportunity to go ahead and sign up for the other email or the other webinars as well. So let me zip over into the other slideshow again real quick just to give you that schedule. And I'm going to say here. So if you need to register for more, go to that bit.ly link, the http://bit.ly webwin 2006. And again, I'll go ahead and share these PDF slides and this webinar, the recording of this webinar, so that you can return to it at your leisure and share it with your friends as well. Thank you so much for attending, and be on the lookout for more in the new year. Have a fantastic 2017. Take care.